Before any magician summons a spirit listed in a grimoire, hereafter referred to as the target spirit, it's really important to get your ritual timing down. So let's explore how spirits of the hour, the day, and the season all should be invoked before the aforementioned target beings, whether celestial, terrestrial, sublunar, airy, elemental, gnomish, or of the more infernal variety. Hey everybody, Alexander Eth here. Thank you so much to my amazing patrons for making posts like this possible. And this post about Solomonic ritual timing is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, why does timing matter? And when I think about magical timing and the importance of pushing through any barriers, I always recite this haunting passage from T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And as you read or listen to this passage, imagine considering things and being paralyzed, not knowing what to do or if it's the right time. Here it is, quote, there will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea, end quote. To me, these lines are disquieting. They're filled with indecisiveness and vacillation, leading someone nowhere. However, when it comes to the grimoires, magicians can bypass this hand-wringing Prufrockian dilemma of indecision and second-guessing by following proper magical timing. And by the way, I get it. Sometimes us magicians, we might feel like we don't have a second to waste, saying something like, who cares about the spirits of the hour or the season or saying the right names? I just want to invoke the target spirit now. All right, hold on there, Sparky McSparkerson, because timing is one of the 3 core elements in the grimoires, along with facing the right direction of the spirit's arrival and addressing the right name of the spirit. To wit, here is scholar and magical practitioner Dr. Stephen Skinner on a recent Glitch Bottle podcast episode sharing why timing in magic is so important.
The day is important. If you want to call a moon spirit, Monday is going to be a much better day to call it on than, say, Saturday. And in addition to the day, the actual hour. So the first hour and the 8th hour are good if you want to call a spirit who belongs to that particular day. So the first hour of Sunday is very good for calling a sun spirit. The first hour of Monday is good for calling a moon spirit, and so on. But throughout the day, these hours change. And so you could find that for some operations, you may need to choose the day of Mercury, but the hour of Saturn. And that will give you an edge, you call it, at that time. And that particular spirit that falls into that description will be much more likely to come. And when people say, well, why should the spirits be so time-centric? I give as an example, if you want to see the doctor and you turn up at his surgery at 3 a.m. on a Sunday, your chances of seeing him are 0. If you turn up at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, they're still not good. But at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, yes, they'd be a lot better. So the spirits are even more precise than that. And so you have to make sure that you've got the right day and the right hour. Otherwise, you're just working uphill. With magic, you don't want to work uphill. You want to work, as it were, with the flow. So time is important, and direction is important, and naming is important. If you get the names right, you get the direction right, and you get the timing right, then the chances are much greater that the spirit will actually turn up for you.
So, for example, if you try and randomly conjure a solar spirit predominant on Sunday, On the hour of Mars, which is a martial hour, Mars being predominant on Tuesday, during the day of Venus, predominant on Friday, and that hour that you're calling the spirit in has nothing conducive to the nature of the solar spirit at all, like it's just not a good hour, listed in the Grimoires, a favorable hour, you might be waiting in your consecrated circle longer than I wait for my incense coals to finally heat up before sprinkling frankincense on those dusky, glowing embers. But you might be asking, okay, timing's important, but what do the actual handbooks of ritual magic, the Grimoires, say about timing? Well, that leads us to part 2, timing in the Grimoire tradition. So, just as the days, the hours, and the seasons change, much to my winter slipping on ice chagrin, the spirits with dominion and influence over those periods of time also change and alternate in the authority they have. And in a wonderful, vital tome for Solomonic magic, properly named Techniques of Solomonic Magic, Dr. Skinner shares that spirits respond much more readily to a magician who calls them at the proper time using the proper names. Otherwise, they're, quote, uninitiated. Here's the full quote. The reason why the angels, demons, and gods of the day and its hour were so important is revealed in the PGM, that's the Greco-Egyptian magical papyri from 2,000 years ago, but not revealed in later Greek or Latin grimoires. The reason is that any magician who does not first call these gods and propitiate them will have no luck in his operation, because he'll be considered by any other spiritual creature to be, quote, uninitiated, unquote. And as a footnote to the above quote in that book, which can't we all agree that footnotes, by the way, are so much better than endnotes? Anyway, I digress. Dr. Skinner says, quote, I suspect that errors in calculating the time, together with a failure to invoke the spiritual creature of the day and hour in a proper manner, lies behind many failures, end quote. And I have to say, when I was first learning about Solomonic magic and the mechanisms behind it, I was initially confused on which planetary archangels, for example, traditionally rule which days of the week. But the chart from the Magus, or Celestial Intelligencer, compiled by occultist Francis Barrett in the year 1801, really helped me understand which angel goes with which planet and which signs of the zodiac are ruled by each planet. And timing of the days and hours and rotating spirits, this has a long-standing grimoiric precedent. For instance, tomes like the 1346 Summa Sacra Magice, which is 800 folio pages, 200,000 words. It goes into incredible detail on the proper names of each season, direction, the various winds, the hours, and more. And also the most famous, or infamous, if you will, grimoire in the Solomonic tradition, the Clavicula Salomonis, or the Key of Solomon. It whispers to us in Book 1, Chapter 2, about the importance of timing, saying, quote, when thou wishest to make any experiment or operation, thou must first prepare beforehand all the requisites which thou wilt find described in the following chapters, observing the days, the hours, and the other effects of the constellations which may be found in this chapter. It must therefore be understood that the planets have their dominion over the day which approacheth nearest unto the name which is given and attributed unto them. Over Saturday, Saturn; Thursday, Jupiter; Tuesday, Mars; Sunday, the Sun; Friday, Venus; Wednesday, Mercury; and Monday, the Moon. The rule of the planets over each hour begins from the dawn at the rising of the sun on the day which takes its name from such planet, and the planet which follows in its order succeeds to the rule over the next hour. Thus, on Saturday, Saturn rules the first hour, Jupiter the second, Mars the third, the Sun the fourth, Venus the fifth, Mercury the sixth, the Moon the seventh, and Saturn returns in the rule over the eighth, and the others in their turn, the planets always keeping the same relative order. Note that each experiment or magical operation should be performed under the planet and usually in the hour which refers to the same, end quote. Now, we just heard from the famous Key of Solomon grimoire, but also the 1559 Heptameron grimoire, which details summoning aerial spirits for each day of the week, shares about the hours, saying, quote, "It is also to be known that the angels do rule the hours in a successive order according to the course of the heavens and planets unto which they are subject, so that the spirit which governeth the day ruleth also the first hour of the day. The second from this governeth the second hour, the third hour, and so consequently. And when 7 planets and hours have made their revolution, it returneth again to the first which ruleth the day. Therefore, we shall first speak of the names of the hours," end quote. And that is from the lovely esotericarchives.com from the wonderful Joseph H. Peterson. And as we just heard, the Heptameron shares that these hours of each day, the hour that you are literally in right now as you're listening to this, they have special names of the day and of the night. So for example, the first hour of the day at sunrise of every day of the week is called Yain, and the first hour of the night right at the moment of sunset is Beron, and so on. And so some grimoires, by the way, for all of these hours, like the manuscript CLM 849 from the mid-15th century, a necromancer's manual of the 15th century, as presented by Dr. Richard Kickhefer in his 1998 book Forbidden Rites, also lists attributes for each of these 24 hours. So for example, 1 hour of the day or the night is listed as being, say, suitable for dealing with legal authorities. Another hour might be an excellent time for business transactions, and so on. However, I'm trying to keep this post focused on the timing itself, and hence, while I aim for brevity, I know I'm quickly falling short of the target. Nevertheless, we press on. So, the hours in the grimoires have special names that you should call, you should intone during a ritual, as well as specific spirits of the day and their ministers, and also special names for the sun, the moon, and the earth for all 4 seasons. And you can definitely make sure to check out Esoteric Archives, which I'll link to, for the full list of seasonal variety. So in the 1559 grimoire, the Heptameron, all of these changing names are found in the floor circle that the operator stands in, and the floor circle has 3 different layers or bands emanating out from the center. And these changing names are found in the middle band of the circle. So, for example, if you're watching this, please enjoy an image below of the circle found in the Heptameron grimoire with my very juvenile attempt to highlight the middle band with a red thingy. And all of this might seem really confusing, and you might be wondering, Alex, okay, there's lots of timing. It's kind of complicated. How does all of this work? Why are you running from the authorities? What happened that one ritual at midnight a few years back? Well, we will take each issue one at a time. Part 3, putting it all together, my timing template. So an earlier version of the Heptameron even gives you specific instructions of how to call all of these different specific names with the hour and the season and the day. One manuscript of the Proto-Heptameron, known as the Elucidarium Necromantiae, the manuscript being VRL 1115, says of the magician, quote, "Standing in the middle of the circle, he should say the name of the hour and the name of the angel of the hour, with his hand extended in the air, showing the sigil of the angel of the hour, engraved in the appropriate metal or written on virgin parchment of a young goat. And he should say the names of the angels of the day, and the name of the time, and the names of the angels ruling in the time, and the name of the earth, and the name of the sun and moon," end quote. Also, a quick thanks to the wonderful Joseph H. Peterson again for his translations and work on esotericarchives.com, but also check out the links below because Joe has a full updated translation of the Heptameron and 3 Elucidarium manuscripts all in one book that you can get below, known as the Elucidation of Necromancy. So, how do you put all this together, right? With all of this complex timing. Over the years, I've created a template that I employ during planetary rituals, using the wonderful and reliable timing and names in the Heptameron as a guide. So, for example, let's say we're working with the Heptameron Grimoire, and we want to summon the target spirit of Wednesday, or the day of Mercury, which, as the Heptameron tells us, is the king of the air, known as Mediat or Modiat Rex, and their ministers, Suquinos and Salales. And let's say, okay, we have our target spirit, and it's not just a Wednesday, but it's also the 4th hour of Wednesday. So the 4th hour, when we look at who rules that hour, that is ruled by Jupiter, or the angel Sachiel or Tzadkiel. And also, it's not just a Wednesday, and it's not just the 4th hour, it's also during the season of autumn. By the way, if you don't like autumn, it probably means you prefer endnotes to footnotes, but I digress. So, okay, Wednesday, 4th hour of the day, ruled by Jupiter, and it's in the autumnal season. So I know that the autumnal season, according to the Heptameron, has specific names for the sun, the moon, and the earth, and rulers of the autumnal season as well. So if I pull all of those names, then you will see them below if you're watching this, but I will read them as well. And when you pull all of the names and times to recite on a Wednesday during the 4th hour of Wednesday, so a Jupiterian hour, the name of the 4th hour of Wednesday is Sala. The angel of the hour, a Jupiterian angel, is Sachiel or Tzadkiel. The angel ruling the day and the ministers of the angel of the day are Raphael, and the ministers Miel and Seraphiel. And the sigil of the angel of the hour, so remember that's a Jupiterian sigil, we would draw that in the circle, and we would hold the sigil during the ritual. The occult name of the autumn season is Ardarael. The names of the angels who rule the autumnal season are Tarquam and Gualbarel. The head of the sign of autumn is Tolquaret. The name of the sun in autumn is Abragini. The name of the moon in autumn is Mataseñes, and the name of the earth in autumn is Rabianira. And so we have all the names. This is great. And after writing these names in the middle band of your floor circle, it would look like this if you're watching it, minus the fact that, again, my own juvenile handwriting leaves much to be desired. But if you are looking at this image, you, the operator, would be standing in the middle of the circle. The first band of the circle closest to you is known as the immutable circle. It contains 4 divine names of God, and it doesn't change if you're using the Heptameron circle. The very outer band of the circle, all the way at the end, that's our target spirit of Wednesday, or the day of Mercury, which in this case is the king of the air, Mediat or Modiat Rex, and their ministers. But our focus for this post is in between both of these bands of the circle, the middle band of the circle that is highlighted in blue. That's what we're looking at. And this is part of the circle that always changes depending on the day, the hour, and the season you are doing your ritual. So finally, to put it all together, below is the template that I use when reciting the specific names and timing of the day, the hour, and the seasons. Feel free to use this and replace the names in bold to suit your day, hour, and season. If I was doing this ritual on the 4th hour of the day of a Wednesday, I would recite the names somewhat like this. O holy hour of Sala, O very angel of the hour that is Sachiel or Tzadkiel, by the sigil of the angel of the hour of Sachiel or Tzadkiel that glitters before ye in this circle, O angels of the day, who are Raphael and ministers Miel and Seraphiel, O holy autumnal season of Ardarael, under the auspices of the autumnal angels Tarquam and Gualbarel, O head of the sign of autumn who is Tolquaret, O earth turning your autumnal frame as Rabianira, O sun bursting your autumnal rays as Abragini, And O moon, soothing your autumnal beams, as Mata sings in vocal voice. And then, after naming the spirits and the timing names of the season, you say, Ovos omnes adiuro atque contestor, per sedem Adonai, per agios otheos, Iskeros, Athanatos, Parakletos, Alpha et Omega, et per hectria nomina secreta, Agla, on, tetragrammaton, quad odie debeatus ad amplere quadcupio. Or in English, thanks to Joseph H. Peterson's wonderful translation, I adjure and call you all forth by the seat of Adonai, and by Agios, Otheos, Iskeros, Athanatos, Parakletos, Alpha et Omega, and by these three secret names, Aglon, Tetragrammaton, that you at once fulfill what I desire. End quote. I should say here, I do not usually recite the divine names unless I'm in ritual, so please be sparing with those would be my advice. Maybe just whisper them or mouth them. These are incredibly powerful, and every time I recite this, my head feels like it's swimming, so definitely use care and caution. And there you have it, my lovely listeners and patrons. I know it might sound confusing, but I hope that this template can help fix that when it comes to ritual timing, to help you plug in the names and make any invocation of the day or night seamless, timeless, well, actually with perfect timing, and you'll never be late to tea with the Grimoire spirits. As always, this is Alexander Eth reminding you to invoke often, uncork the uncommon, and keep the light.